Good afternoon, kia ora koutou, and welcome to the Greater Wellington Business Growth and Support Virtual Conference. My name's Angela Caves and I'm the Digital Events Manager with Digital Boost. We are day 3 of our conference, our third and final day. We've had 2 wonderful days with lots of organisations sharing all their products and services that are there and available to support the business community. It's my pleasure to introduce my collaborating partner from connected.govt.nz, Janine, and Janine is going to take us through an introduction, housekeeping, and then introduce our guest speaker. Thanks, Janine.
Thanks, Ange. Kia ora and welcome back, everyone. Before we start the session, I just have a few housekeeping notes to go through. So firstly, throughout the session, you will be able to see and hear us. However, we are not able to see or hear you. So therefore, if you have any questions, comments or feedback, please feel free to pop it into the chat box or the Q&A box. And if you look down at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you will see those 2 options are there. And we will do our very best to get through those questions at the end of the presentation. I now have the pleasure to introduce Daryl Mataiti, Community Compliance Officer from Inland Revenue, who is going to take us through this session on the services and resources available. Kia ora, Daryl.
Okay, so as I was introduced, my name is Daryl Mataiti. I've been at Inland Revenue for quite some time, 26, 27 years roughly, and for most of that time I've been in the community compliance area. So community compliance is the unit within Inland Revenue that is the public face, basically. So we are out in the community, we're running workshops, we're also meeting with business owners one-to-one and doing these types of presentations online as well. We have staff around most of the sites in New Zealand. We've got around 300 community compliance officers in New Zealand, and we're also mobile, so we're able to travel from our main site to surrounding regions and support businesses in those more rural communities as well. So today I'm going to go through some information around the sort of services that we provide. If you do have tax questions, then yes, happy to look at those at the end of the slideshow, but I will make a start now. Here's the information I'm just going to walk through. So we offer workshops and webinars at Inland Revenue. Those are what we call our one-to-many services. We also offer advisories, and that is where we can meet with you one-to-one. Currently, these are being done virtually, but hopefully back to in person in the very near future. I'll also cover some information around our MyIR online services. We do find most people nowadays do have a MyIR account, and it is really useful for those who are going into business or are in business. So I'll just talk a little bit about that. And then finally, some information on our resources. So you may not know, we actually have a YouTube channel, and then again, talking about some of the resources we have on our website. Looking first at our workshops and webinars. So these are free. We have 3 main, actually there's 4 subjects, topics that we cover now. So we do a workshop on income tax. We do one on GST. There is also one for employers. And another one that we offer is on residential rental properties. So property owners. Most of them go for about an hour and a half up to 2 hours. What we do is they currently run virtually. We use the Teams platform, but you can also join if you just through your browser. And we spend, yes, about an hour and a quarter going through a PowerPoint presentation, and we like to answer questions on certain topics as we go. So it's relatively informal. And at the end, we also, again, open up for a question and answer session. So we are currently moving into a national coordinated session. And so those dates will be up on the website shortly. I think we just have some dates through to the end of July at this stage. But yes, if you're interested in those, you will be able to see those dates in the next week or so. And you book through the website and we send you out the links. You can also book over the phone, but you may be aware our contact centres are very busy at the moment, and so we would suggest, just link directly through the website. Now, the other area that we have in terms of presentations is our webinars. So these are run slightly differently to our workshops. At the moment, it's just done on our income tax topic. These run for just 1 hour, so they are shorter. What we do is we will play some recordings of the PowerPoint with a voiceover. The recordings last about half an hour. And then after that half hour, we have a question and answer session. So we play through the recordings, and then people can send through questions as they're watching, but also send questions through at the end. And we spend, again, about half an hour answering those. So they are shorter, probably not quite as detailed, but still people get quite a bit out of them. They run fortnightly in the evenings. So we made the decision to run these at the end of the business day to allow people a bit of time to get home, have some dinner, and then log in. So the way to register for these is also through the website is best, or potentially over the phone if you want to ring. So just to show you how you can register on our website from just about any page on the website. This is our home page. You'll see at the top of the screen, there is a news and events link. So if you click on that and then go down to the seminars link, that will take you through to a list of all the upcoming dates. And so you find the one that's relevant for you, click on that, and you'll then send through your registration details. So we'll ask you for name, email address, mobile phone number, and if you have a business ID number, then the ID number as well. That's our, as I say, one-to-many service. We connect with groups, but we also have a one-to-one service. So sometimes people will come along to a workshop or a webinar, and at the end of it, they'll have a few questions that are specific to them that they need a little bit more support with, a little bit more detail. So then what you can do is request an advisory. We do have, as I said, community compliance officers all around the country. And for example, I'm down in Christchurch, and we also support businesses in Kaikoura, sometimes in Ashburton, and some of the surrounding regions. So if you're not in a main centre, you can still request an advisory, and we'll organise someone to get in contact with you. As I say, it's free. We do also, we're hoping to be able to provide those in person in the not too distant future, but currently it does mean a phone call or a Zoom or Teams call, because we're not meeting people face to face just now. Again, you can request an advisory either by ringing us or through MyIR if you send a web message. But the quickest way really is to go onto our website and put in a search for advisory, and that will bring up a link where again you can submit your details, give us an idea of what you want to meet about. It might be GST, it might be record keeping, and someone will get in contact with you to arrange a time. So we have a target of ringing you, contacting you within 5 days. Along those same lines, in terms of advisories, we also have a service for those who would like to meet or have contact with someone in the department that's familiar with tikanga, and a lot of our kaitaka wāinga Māori can also speak te reo, so we do cater for that community. They offer very much the same sort of service as our advisory service and as our workshop service. They're not necessarily, our kaitaka wāinga Māori aren't necessarily in every site, but they are mobile. And so, we can certainly arrange for someone to meet you if you're in a more rural part of New Zealand. At this stage, it is online. So you can either contact us by phone, send a web message through MyIR, or again, if you go onto our website and search for advisory, you'll find kaitaka wāinga Māori is one of the options there that you can request to meet one of our staff. That's our more personal, more direct type of service. So in terms of our online services, we have got MyIR. Most of the people that I meet with and talk with, they have a MyIR account. I do think if you're in business, they're extremely useful, very helpful. What you can do is you can file a lot of your returns through MyIR. So if you are registered for GST or an employer, or even doing your end of year income tax return, by going into MyIR, it is a lot quicker. But also MyIR also does some of the calculations for you in terms of rebates or tax assessments or working out the GST content. It can do that for you. You also know that when you push submit in MyIR, that return has gone through to Inland Revenue in real time. So you get some feedback to say, yes, Inland Revenue has it. Also, if you've got details you need to update, your address, you've moved, or a new mobile phone number, that's something that you can also do in there. And yeah, if you are needing to register for a new type of tax, it might be you're registering for GST, or even if you're having a child and you need to register for working for families, that is something that you can do a lot quicker through MyIR. Sometimes people aren't able to pay the tax owing in full at the time, and they might need to request a payment plan. So we call those an installment arrangement. And if you're in that position, then you can apply for an installment arrangement through MyIR. And again, you'll get instant approval if it is approved, if it is an acceptable timeframe, or if it's not, you'll be advised that no, it doesn't meet the conditions, and then you might need to contact us by phone. But yes, in terms of payment plans, it is something you can do through MyIR, which is really useful. And it might also be that you have some sort of question that you need to check with us. It might be about an expense you're wanting to claim, or some other details about your business that you're not sure about in terms of Inland Revenue. And so MyIR allows you to send a web message through to us, and you get a reply, obviously, in writing. We normally have a target, a time frame of 3 weeks, 15 working days, but I am aware that at the moment that we're not quite meeting that target. So yeah, if you would like something, if you would like to ask us a question and get something back in writing, MyIR is a good option. It's just it is taking us a few weeks at the moment to get through all those. It is a really busy time of year for us. But MyIR, well worth looking at registering if you're not already for your business. So on our website, on most of the pages, again, up near the top right, you'll see a register link. So that's where you go to register. To register, you need your IRD number. If you're registering for your company, then the company IRD number. You need an active email address and your personal details, so name and date of birth, etc. We ask for those details when you register, just to make sure that the person who is authorized is setting up the account, not somebody who's trying to get access without being the actual business owner. If you're looking at registering the MyIR for your company, then one other point is that you do have to be linked to the company on the Inland Revenue system. So to set up that initial company MyIR account, it must be done by a business owner that is a director, and that link has to be logged with Inland Revenue first. All right, some of our other resources. So our website, there's lots of information there. We have tax information around GST, who needs to register, and what if you are registered, what sort of requirements are there. A lot of information on employing as well. I think one of our most useful tax guides that we have for small business owners is the IR 320, IR 320. It's called our Smart Business Guide, and it has a very good general overview of pretty much all of the stuff that applies to small business owners when they're starting out. So we go into things like when is your return due? How do we calculate the tax? What is provisional tax? How does that work? what if I run my business from home? Can I claim expenses for that? So the IR320, that's definitely one of our better guides and well worth having a look at it. In terms of calculators and tools, we have a couple of really useful ones there. Our depreciation calculator is probably the one that's, I think, is one of the most useful. So if you have equipment or assets that you need to depreciate, then we actually have a really good tool which will step you through the process on how to calculate that. And also at the end, you get a chart which you can print out or save to your device, and it gives you all the figures that you need for your return for that particular asset. So that's our depreciation calculator. And we also have an annual income calculator on our website as well. So we always recommend to people, when you're going into business, it's well worth planning ahead and doing a bit of budgeting for tax. In your first year, it's a little bit up in the air as to what your profit might be. But what you can do is go into our annual income calculator and estimate the profit figure for the year, and it'll tell you what sort of tax you might have to budget for. And so, yeah, the annual income calculator is quite useful to at least help you do your planning and your budgeting. And we also have webinar videos. So as I mentioned previously, we have our workshops and our webinars. And if you just want to actually go into the website and watch a webinar in your own time when it suits you, then you can do that. What you do is you follow that news and events link, which leads you to your seminars. And on the seminars page, there's a link right near the top, which says webinar videos. And if you follow that link, what you can do is watch some recordings around GST information, recordings around income tax information. And I think most of them only go for 7-8 minutes each. And so again, you can watch them when it suits you, and some really good information there. So that's our website resources. In terms of YouTube, we do have a YouTube channel, and we have quite a few more videos that are actually on the YouTube channel. We've got videos there around what if I'm setting up as a company? What does that look in terms of my obligations to IRD? And a comparison then with what it means as a sole trader and also a partnership. We have some other information around employers and the requirements that they have to follow in terms of sending returns to IRD and taxing wages, and a couple of other more specialized ones. We've got some for real estate salespeople. So over the last couple of years, we have had a bit of a focus in this industry. And so we created a few videos to assist those people with their specific obligations and fringe benefit tax. So if that applies, yeah, some really useful stuff there in terms of our YouTube channel. So it's Inland Revenue New Zealand, and well worth a look again if you're doing a bit of research. Okay, I think, yep, that's just the presentation that I had. So yeah, thanks Janine and Angela.
Oh, thank you very much, Daryl. Sometimes it can be overwhelming for people, you know, with all the information that's there, but it's great that it's all online to access, which is fabulous. And you also have the webinars and the workshops for support. So we do have a few questions that have come through, Daryl. First one here, if I'm a sole trader, do I need to have a personal IRD number and also a business IRD number? I'm not sure if they're getting muddled up with maybe the business registration, perhaps.
Yeah, it is a good question. So for sole traders, the majority of the time, their business number will be the same as their personal IRD number. Now, sometimes if the sole trader registers for GST, the GST number might be different, but otherwise, if as a sole trader, your business number is the same as your personal IRD number.
Oh, excellent. Another question here. If you are registered as a business, but you operate as a contract and you work from home, how can you work out what you claim for as part of your business expenses with your GST return?
Right. Yeah, another good question. A lot of people who are starting out in business will have their home as their base. So it's certainly a common question that we get. I think there's kind of two streams to answer that question. So the first one is just in terms of expenses when you run your business from home. We have some good information on the website. If you search home office, there's some good detail there. Basically, what you do is you can claim expenses related to running the business or having a base at home, but there is a little bit of work to do in terms of calculations. So you need to look at how much space in my home do I use for business. It might be that you have some storage space for equipment or stock. It might be that you have an office space set up where you do your record keeping. It might be that you have some of your customers and clients actually come into the home, and so you have a space set aside for that. What you do is you add up all of the spaces in the home that are committed to business use, and then you divide that into the actual total home area. So it might be you've got 15 square meters in the home that is used for business, and the home's 100 square meters. That would mean that you've got a 15% claim on expenses for the business purposes. And then whatever that percentage is, you can claim that against things like rent, mortgage interest, power, any repairs and maintenance. So you work out the amount of space as a percentage that's used for business purposes, and then you claim that against certain costs. And then some of those costs will have GST. So things like rates, insurance, power, they have GST as well. And so if you're GST registered, you can claim the GST portion of that home office percentage also. So that might be a little bit of information to take in, but it is on our website. If someone wants to search home office, yeah, there's a bit of detail there. And normally it's a bit of work at the start to do some calculations, but once you've got your percentages, it's pretty straightforward after that.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Darryl. Quite a complex question, but answered really well. And as you say, refer to the website. I think this is just reiterating, are your webinars and workshops free? I think it's just a reiteration.
Yes, they are. At the moment, we're looking at running workshops at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Starting next week, it'll be income tax, and then the week after GST, and alternating between the two. So yeah, they are free, and it's just a matter of registering to come along to one that suits.
Fantastic. Last question I have for you. What are some common misconceptions or mistakes by both sole traders and SMEs that you see?
Yeah, I think sometimes, businesses will, I guess one of the mistakes we sometimes see is that businesses might be claiming certain food costs as entertainment, which might not be deductible. So generally, if you're having a business meeting with a customer or a client, normally you can claim half of that, but sometimes we see people are claiming the whole cost of those. I think something else that we sometimes see is that people don't keep enough records. When I'm running workshops, one thing I kind of stress is that the better the records are for the business owner, the less tax they're going to pay at the end of the day. So if they have expenses with documents to support the costs, they're more than likely going to be able to include those in their return and end up paying less tax. But sometimes business owners don't keep enough records. And one of the key things is a logbook for their motor vehicle. So small business owners, vast majority actually use their vehicle for business purposes, but they don't always realize you actually have to keep a logbook, a record of your business use of that vehicle for a 3-month period. And so when they come to do their return, they have a few receipts and they say, I just need to claim these as a business cost, and IRD will come back and say, well, you actually need a logbook to verify for Inland Revenue what the actual use is, not just what your costs were. And so that's something that I often see, that people haven't kept a logbook for their motor vehicle use, and that can be to their detriment when it comes to tax time. And sometimes also, I think another thing that small businesses will sometimes do is they will set up the business, register for GST, and set up a company. When we look at the business and how they're operating and what their plans are, we might find that actually the business could have been a sole trader. I come from the point of view of, for most people, let's keep things as simple and straightforward as possible. If you're looking at, or if you have registered for a GST and you've set up a company, things can get a little bit trickier. And so, yeah, I always suggest to do your research, have a look into the differences between being a company and a sole trader. Generally, I would say if your customers are not GST registered and you're not going to earn more than $60,000, then I wouldn't suggest registering for GST. I think it adds quite a bit of complexity and work to the small business owner that perhaps has very few advantages. So yeah, those are a couple of things that I see regularly from people who are starting out.
Oh, excellent, Jerry. I guess it's the old saying, if it's not on paper, it didn't happen.
Yep.
Excellent. So they're all our questions for today. So I'd just like to say thank you once again, Daryl, for your time today. And I'll now pass you back to Ange.
Thanks, Janine. Yeah, I want to add my thanks to Janine's. Thank you for joining us again, Daryl. It's been wonderful to have you. I know you've joined us for a few of our other regional conferences, and every time I feel like I learn something new about the IRD. It's wonderful. For those of you who have joined us via live stream or our attendees on the webinar now, I just want to let you know that if you need to reach out to anybody at any point for business support, please utilise Connected and the employment liaison advisors like Janine. They are there to be that conduit of connection to help you find whatever support that might be, whether that's directing you to the IRD or directing you to one of your local business support agencies. Connected are wonderful in that space. And along with that, Digital Boost hopefully can support you. We have a lot of information around supporting your taxes through MYOB and through Xero on the Digital Boost platform, which hopefully will then make your end of year square ups for your business with the IRD a lot more simple. So if you are looking to start your digital transformation and tie that in with your finances, please head over to Digital Boost and we'll be able to support you there. That does bring our session to a close. We've got a few more this afternoon, so if you do need some extra support around just general business, or if you are employing people, we've got business.gov joining us, and we've got employment.gov joining us up next, actually at 2 o'clock. And then we're going to be closing our conference with the Digital Boost session, so if you do want to hear more about those, please join us. Head over to Connected's website and you'll be able to register for sessions there. Other than that, thank you once again for joining us. It's been a pleasure to host you this afternoon. Thank you, everybody.